WOCA.
Attention passengers for Flight 1370. The plane has been delayed at its departure point and will be at least 2 hours late. We apologize for any inconvenience.
Are you serious? It took us over an hour to get here, 2 hours going through security and getting our tickets, and now we have to wait another 2 hours.
Yeah, it's beautiful here, but we're inside this overcrowded airport all day because the plane is stuck in bad weather.
This is the last time we ever do this. When we get back, we're going to Ocala Aviation and getting our pilot's license.
Yeah, we've been talking about that long enough. It's about time we did it. Then we could just fly ourselves and never have to deal with this mess again.
Right. No long lines, no full body groping security, no baggage checks.
Not to mention never losing your luggage. Remind me again why we haven't done that?
Well, we're idiots.
Oh, right.
Attention all passengers for Flight 1370. It looks like the plane is going to be delayed a little bit longer. The airline has lost the pilot's luggage. Isn't it time you got your pilot's license? Call Ocala Aviation today. 352-861-7484. That's 352-861-7484. Hey, you've earned it. Call today.
Hello, I'm Mark Sears with Regency Printing. With over 10 years in the printing business, I know you'll find Regency Printing the place for all your local printing needs. Plus, I have fax services, mailbox rentals, notary service, U.S. mail, pack and ship, all at one convenient location, 2375 Northeast 25th Avenue. Just look for the yellow signs. Regency Printing, 789-6683. That's 789-6683. Regency Printing.
Keep up with what's going on in the downtown area with Ocala Downtown Newspaper. Delivering thousands of newspapers to businesses in the downtown area, Ocala Downtown is there to keep you informed. They even have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask in return is that you tell them where you heard about it. It's simple. For more info, just call Tom's Picks, 352-804-1223, and pick up your copy of the Downtown Ocala newspaper today.
And now read Ocala Downtown Newspaper online.
We are proud to announce the Conservative Watch Hour on WOCA 96.3 FM and 1370 AM every Friday at 11 a.m. Hosted by Annie Marie Delgado, President of Trump Team 2020 Florida, and her co-host Ann Vandersteel with SteelTruth.com. We are serving a higher level of excellence, and we are the only program of this type in this market. Don't miss your weekly dose of conservative talk radio. WOCA 11 a.m. Fridays, 96.3 and 1370 a.m.
Show Mom how much you love her this Mother's Day with some of the best flowering buys in town at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens in Ocala. How about roses? Bob has knockout roses, drift roses, hybrid tea roses, and they start at just $19.99. Budded and blooming gardenias, they're beautiful, and they're just $3.99. Same price for African violets, also just $3.99. And listen to this, blooming hanging baskets, buy one, get one at half price. Buy one for Mom, get one for yourself. Bob also has Confederate jasmine, buy two, get one free. And a huge selection of pottery just arrived, with prices starting at just $5.99. Hurry on over for Mother's Day. Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens on Southeast 38th Street, Ocala. And yes, we are open. From Bob, Happy Mother's Day.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
You're listening to AM Ocala Live, WOCA, The Source, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, as we are now just about 20 minutes before the top of the 11 o'clock hour. And as we do, we're rounding out our show here, AM Ocala Live, for this Thursday morning, this beautiful Thursday morning. Weather-wise, high in the mid-70s today. just lots of blue sky and sunshine with some mild humidity too. It's like a lot of that kind of went with it yesterday. So we got that to look forward to. But as we round out our show in the studio, I've got Kathy Bryant, County Commission. Welcome. Glad to have you in here.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here this morning.
So there's a few people I talked to that were looking forward to having you in to talk a little bit about, to kind of carry in from what we were talking last week. We know last week we entered the idea of the stay-at-home order to be dissolved, which was on Monday, but with that came these phases, like the phases of the moon. However, the phase that we're in, we were agreeing there last week that we're a little different. If we're looking at a county by county way, it's just a little different for us. So we know we talked last week about our local government, county commission, reaching out or trying to for Tallahassee to Governor DeSantis to see if what we could do to have the jurisdiction to say, hey, we want to open back up. So as we have you on today, let's just kind of pick up where we left off. Have you heard anything yet?
We have not.
No.
Unfortunately, we have not gotten a reply to the letter that we sent. Today at 12:30, we will be interviewed by WCJB TV 20, and we are going to be joined by chairs from our surrounding counties: Lake County, Levy County, Volusia County. Unfortunately, Commissioner Kelly can't be with us today. He has a news conference at 2, but he is in full support. We all three stand united in the letter that Marion County sent up to the governor last week.
Yeah.
So we are going to be following up with that today at 12:30.
Gotcha. Now, what does that entail, the follow-up?
We're just, going to, again, reiterate our position. We thank the governor for all of his hard work. We know that his task is not an easy one.
Right.
Florida is a very large state. There are 67 counties in the state of Florida.
It's big.
It is very big. But with that said, 67 counties, it's also very diverse.
Yes.
And what necessarily works down in Broward, Palm Beach, Miami-Dade doesn't work in the Panhandle, obviously.
Yeah.
And possibly what works in the Panhandle doesn't work in Central Florida.
Bingo.
And we strongly believe that we've kept our numbers low. Our communities have all done what they were asked to do as far as, ramping up their personal hygiene, washing their hands, using hand sanitizer, social distancing, staying home if they're sick. And we all know without a shadow of a doubt that we understand we have to continue to do these things.
Absolutely.
Even with reopening different businesses.
Which we already seen through the last week and a half. We already see people that are ready, that are like, hey, if that's what it means to go back out there and get to work again, they're doing it. We can see that. I can see that all over town and stuff. And like you said, that's obviously something that we know we need to keep doing. And with that in mind, it's like, well, we plan to. So what does that mean for everything else?
Right. Well, and the thing about it is there's been so much focus on the unemployment system in the last week.
You're right.
If we put people back to work,
that changes, right?
That changes things. They can make a living. They can support themselves. They can pay their bills. They can put food on their table.
Yeah.
And, we believe that our community understands what they're going to need to do in order to do that. Mm-hmm. And that's where we are. So hopefully, once again, with another request to the governor's office, at least we're hoping to get some kind of a correspondence back. We would just like to say, okay, if you're not ready to do this, give us a timeline.
Right.
A timeline would really help.
Right. I think that's the other thing we were looking at. It's a little something we discussed last week. It's like, I think everybody has a better mindset and demeanor when you at least know the day that we can. Because, like, when is phase 2?
Right.
When is it? When is phase 3 from thereafter? If we knew those things, then it's better to equalize the identity of what's the task at hand, if you will.
Well, and I've had a lot of correspondence and emails and questions from constituents. Why don't you just go ahead and do it?
Sure.
Just open it up.
Sure. And that was one of my questions for you. Like, what if we just did? What would be ramifications that if you guys got together and said, hey, listen, we got with local law enforcement, we got with sheriffs, we got with OPD, we got with who we needed to say, we're going to go ahead and open up. This is our decision to do so. And we would be, what do they say, doing it to ask for rather to ask for forgiveness later than permission, so to speak.
Correct.
Right? I had to pull that one out from with the Mother's Day on Sunday. I had to pull that one out from my childhood. My mom used to tell me, "Don't do that." That's right.
Well, the unfortunate thing for that is, as much as we would like to go ahead and do that, we would be putting a lot of our businesses who are licensed with the state at risk.
Yeah, you mentioned that, like a lot of the businesses, they're licensed through the state, so the ramifications of what they're doing really falls under the guidelines of the state, not necessarily what's local.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct. And I've had our attorney check into that as well. Said, well, what happens if we just do this?
Yeah.
And under certain circumstances, the state can come in and they can mandate. There's been a lot of questions on the constitutionality of all of this.
Sure.
And there have been cases that have gone before different courts, and the courts have always upheld what the governments have done.
Interesting.
Yeah, we found several cases. Our attorney went back and researched for me, because there's a part of me that that has thought several times about doing that. And it's extremely difficult to watch people who have been out of work since the end of March and have had no income and haven't been able to get those unemployment benefits.
Right.
Some of them haven't gotten a stimulus check.
Right.
It's extremely difficult to watch that happen, and they don't have the financial wherewithal to be able to put food on the table.
Right.
That's a really, really hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, and with that's a small segue into what we've been doing a lot here at the Source. With we mentioned Lena Williams coming in on Monday to talk community events, but it's turned into more of kind of getting the information about there where people can help who can, for the people who are less fortunate in this circumstance in this time with the food banks, and then we mentioned with Marion County Public Schools still continuing to do the grab and go meals and all that stuff. It's because a lot of people are in a very, very rock and a hard place position right now with all this, and it seems like a nice, simple solution would be like, let's get back to work, let's open things up. I think on the other side of it too, I heard somebody. I was out and about. I think it was on Tuesday there, Taco Tuesday. It was a very weird. I think everybody has. Kind of the same idea that, like, where are we with this? Like, when you mentioned something of a timeline or like a date where we could see another phase open up, I think it would give everybody like this idea of saying, like, okay, on this date, this will take place. Right now, I think everybody's kind of floundering in the way. Some restaurants have opened up, but with the occupancy idea of only 25%, right? You walk into a restaurant and there's that weird hesitation. Are they doing this? Are they doing dine-in? Because some aren't. Some have decided to say, hey, it's just as easier for us with the employee and the staff for the overhead to just do takeouts and deliveries like we have been.
Right.
Or some places are doing 25% occupancy, but guess what? You go into the dining room and still half of it is folded up chairs and tables.
Right.
The place I went to get some tacos there on Tuesday, a lot of people had the masks on. And then as we're all waiting for our food, a lot of people are like, where do I stand? I'm trying to do 6 feet apart, but at the same time, we're outside and it's 90 degrees outside in direct sunlight. Where's this happy medium of logic and consistency with what we need to do? And it just feels like, if we did have a preemptive idea of when this would, like you said, with dates, with hard dates of when we would see stuff come along, I think people would have a better mindset of what to do. And I think they'd be a little bit more, kind of like you said, still practicing everything we need to do. I think people are trying to do that, but they're also like, I'm doing the best I can here. And then a lot of them are doing the best they can, like we said, without an income.
Right.
And that's the big portion of it. We've been hearing all across the country certain stories. We were talking a little bit off air, you and I. We brought it up with our segment with Galen, is the woman with the hair salon in Texas that took her initiative to say, all right, phase whatever, I'm doing what I need to do. I've got a business. I know that clients that need haircuts. It's time. I'm going to do it. I'm deciding to do that. And she got thrown in jail for it.
Right.
Obviously, now the story is with that, like I read, is I believe the state attorney, they released her. But just the heavy expectations of what comes along with, like we said, what are these constitutional rights? Where is the line in the sand, so to speak? But we have you on to talk, just like we were, about the ideas that you guys have been working with, like we said, for more than weeks, about what you're going to do to not only open up, but now to the point where it's phase one. It's like, well, what can we do to move farther along? And that's what you guys have been doing, and that's what you guys got today to talk about going into the weekend.
We are going to talk about that. For sure. We're still pushing for our business owners. And I understand that there are people out there who are vulnerable.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to still continue to stay at home and limit their interactions with the public. I mean, that's just the reality of it. And one of the other things that we've said on, if I've said it once, I've said it 100 times in the last several days. This is our new reality. Mm-hmm. We're not going to go back to life before COVID.
Right.
We are going to have to continue to practice our good hygiene. We're going to have to continue to social distance. And this is going to change the way that we live.
Yeah.
But we have to learn to live like this so that we can manage it.
Absolutely.
Because we're going to have to learn to live with it.
Yeah.
Because it's here. Right now, it's not going anywhere.
Right.
We, can do these things to keep our positivity rate low. Right now, we're at a 3.7% positivity rate. So out of all the people that we've tested thus far, we're at 3.7%. Mm-hmm. I think the highest we've ever been in the peak was 5%. And that positivity rate has continued to go down. Yeah. And one of the other things that I would like to mention this morning, we were told that on DOH, on their dashboard now, they're going to start showing a recovered number. And so last night, or yesterday, our numbers were at 196 positive cases. Mm-hmm. And that recovered number that we got today for Marion County was 155.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty big.
Yeah. And that's huge. Just thinking about our community alone getting through something like that for the ones who tested positive, and we can throw around an argument of like, is this number exacerbated with this? With like, well, there's not as many tests here. Whatever. The bottom line is these people have recovered. They were tested positive from it. They recovered, and with the percentage that you said, like 3%, like so. So is this enough to say, hey, Governor, listen up. We want to make our decisions here.
Right. And, do we kill our small businesses?
Yeah.
That they've poured their lives into these businesses for the number that we're at now and where we are? So
have certain small businesses reached out to you guys specifically to say like, hey, I need to know what's going on here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We get that a lot.
Yeah.
We get that a lot.
And, with, I think what I was thinking was with trying to hear something back, have you guys had any contact at all to maybe even when phase one was implemented, was there even like a whisper of any dates at all about maybe a new phase or anything else?
We have had no communication from the governor's office.
Yeah. Man. Yeah.
So anyway,
right place. Absolutely.
Hey, one thing that I would like to talk about, because I think it is important to recognize a group of folks. For those that don't know, it's National Nurses Week.
It is. I have yet to mention that, by the way, and I apologize, but it is National Nurses Week. So yeah, roll with that. It's at the top of my docket sheet here every day, and I skim over that.
Aren't you glad I'm here this
Absolutely.
morning?
I'm so glad
help
you're here,
you with
Kathy.
that.
I'm so glad you're here.
It is National Nurses Week, and it is important for us to thank them. Many of them have been on the front line of this. Mm-hmm. I've gotten a few emails from a few husbands out there And one was his wife is staying in an RV that somebody donated to them on their property, and we made it easy for them to do that and
Wow.
to waive their permit fee in order to have that and to extend the time. And she's doing that because she's working the front line of this, and she wants to keep her family safe.
Right.
I've got another gentleman who reached out to me. His wife actually left her husband and 3 children at home to go to New York and work up there.
Yeah.
So she's due back in another week or so. And, so lots of tremendous stories
Absolutely.
Of people giving up their lives in order to make sure that people are receiving great medical care. So we've got over 430,000 licensed registered nurses and practical nurses in Florida.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important that we do say thank you to them.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the things. And one of the other things that we wanted to talk about, I know that people will be really happy to hear this. So, we opened our boat ramps a couple weeks ago on a limited basis. And then we opened a few more that were on state property this week. So this weekend, we will be opening KP Hole boat ramp only in Dunellen. And we're doing that for our divers and paddlers. And the boat ramp use is permitted for private and commercial boaters, divers, and paddlecraft operators. We're still not opening up to tubing because
Gotcha.
tubing, you'll see large groups of people latched together, and that would go against everything that we're asking people to do. And then we'll also be opening Horseshoe Lake Park and Retreat for day use only. We won't be doing any of the rentals of the cabins, but there is a swim beach, there are restrooms, picnic areas, pavilion, hiking trails, horseshoe game areas, and fishing spots. And we are, asking folks to still maintain their social distancing of at least 6 feet and to limit their gatherings to no more than groups of 10 people
Groups of 10,
at Horseshoe Beach, so Horseshoe Lake. We're excited that will happen Saturday, May the 9th.
Okay.
And we're working on our greenways. We had lots of people asking about our greenways.
Yeah.
So the state did open up the Marjorie Harris Carr Greenway, and a lot of that encompasses the Santos Trail. So folks can get back out on the Santos Trail for their walking and biking. We're still waiting to hear about Silver Spring State Park.
Right, because state in the title, that's one of the big things you mentioned before. It's what you can do with that, what you're limited to because it is a state park like that.
Absolutely. And, your board is still looking at the long-term effects of this.
Mm-hmm.
And we're really, really hopeful that, the governor will get not just Marion County's message today, but Marion County, Lakes, Volusia's, and Levy County's message. We all feel very strongly that what's happening now is far worse than the COVID-19 event.
From what we've seen. Could you agree that, and I thought I heard this, that even the counties that you're mentioning, their percentage of this is just as low, if not lower than ours?
Most of them are low like ours. I don't have their specific numbers, so I don't want to say they're lower or as low. But they've had the same things happen for them that we've had. And I think the thing that you have to remember when you talk about all this is the simple fact that we're just not geographically put together like a lot of other communities.
Right.
Marion County is the 5th largest geographical county in the state.
Bigger than Rhode Island.
Yes.
I bring that up because Joe and I had that conversation a while ago. But yeah, it's big.
So we're spread out a little differently, and we don't interact as densely as some of our more southern counties do, as well as Levy. My goodness, if you look at Levy, they're very spread out.
Yeah.
Volusia, for the most part, they don't have that population density that other counties have. So we feel very strongly in our message, hoping that the governor will hear us, and we're hoping that even if he doesn't agree with us, he will at least communicate with us.
And the communication can lead to other things like the dates that we're talking about, or at least the conversation of when those dates could arise for phase 2 and phase 3, and even maybe a little change of what phase 2 could even be, so to speak, as long as we can get the conversation going.
Well, he said in a press conference the other day down in Sarasota, some counties could have opened up to phase 2.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
We were like,
yep.
What?
Yep. Well, excellent. That brings us towards the top of the 11 o'clock hour. That'll round out our show here, AM Ocala Live. Kathy, thank you so much for coming in and letting the listeners know. And all we can say is thank you to all you guys for all the effort you're doing, and keep working hard just like you are. We're going to get there. We're going to make it work. So at some point, when we have you in on a Thursday, we'll be like, hey, all right.
I know, right?
As that'll do it for AM Ocala Live. Thank you, everybody. Shout out to Tish, Joe, thank you very much, Dan, Galen, and everybody else. And I meant to a couple days ago, but I want to give a shout out to my crazy Aunt Barb down south. It was her birthday just a few days ago. Woo-hoo. And I meant to mention it on air as a specific, but I'm just show it out there now. And until tomorrow, guys, I'm not going to be here, but Dan will fill you in as I'm going to take care of some business. But I'll see you on Monday, and until then, goodbye.
1 million new claims for unemployment benefits last week. The dramatic number of layoffs caused by the coronavirus pandemic is expected to cause the April unemployment rate to jump to a record.
That report from the Labor Department comes out tomorrow morning. At least 11 people are killed by a gas leak in India, which is now reported to have been stopped with the air clear.
People struggling to breathe and collapsing in the street after a gas leak at a polystyrene plastic factory near the southern Indian city of Visakhapatnam. The plant is owned by a South Korean company, LG Chem, which says workers were preparing to restart the facility after a coronavirus lockdown when the leak happened.
Fox's Simon Owen. America's listening to Fox News.
When you go to the mechanic in here...
Pass me the torque. Nope, let me have the flamethrower.
That sounds wrong. You know what else sounds wrong? When you hear about the interest you're earning on your savings with the largest banks. But with a Marcus by Goldman Sachs online savings account, you could earn much more interest. And hear this. Open a Marcus by Goldman Sachs online savings account in minutes at Marcus.com. You can money.
Comparison made to the 3 largest U.S. banks measured by total deposits. Rates as of February 4th, 2020 and may vary by state. Goldman Sachs Bank USA, member FDIC.
Pros. Lowe's wants to help you keep working. That's why we're open for pro business hours 6 to 7 a.m. Monday through Saturday. You'll find the quantities you expect with dedicated pro associates and loaders to help you get what you need fast and load you up curbside. Now, more than ever, we know you need to win every single bid. You can count on Lowe's for special values on pro trusted brands and savings when you buy in bulk. Save yourself a trip by shopping Lowe'sForPros.com, where we can ship thousands of items to your doorstep or to the job site. Lowe's is open and pro ready.
In his words, cover-up directly led to the coronavirus crisis, telling reporters this morning that the Chinese Communist Party put out propaganda to try to blame COVID-19 on the U.S., when in fact it was hoarding a lot of PPE because it knew the virus